Hello my fiery friends, the Infernoman here with the latest in budget deck technology. And for today's deck tech, we're going to be playing in the historic format with a deck I call Pure Madness.
Most everyone's mad here.
Now again, this mechanic came to us thanks to Shadows over Innistrad Remastered. There actually were already some Madness cards in Arena, but we didn't really have enough of them to make a full deck. So now that we actually have a bunch of them thanks to the introduction of Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, we can now play in this format a fully fledged Madness deck. Real quick, looking at the stats of the deck, overall, you're looking at an average mana curve of about 2.1. We are playing Rakdos colors with about 19 creatures total, and 8 instants, 12 sorceries, and 21 lands. Keep in mind that the curve right here is actually a little deceiving, but we will explain why in just a moment. Now, when I mentioned Madness, some of you out there probably may not remember what Madness does, so let's kind of do a quick little refresher. So looking at one of the cards here, Fiery Temper, Madness basically means that if you discard this card, you discard it into exile. When you do, cast it for its Madness cost or put it into your graveyard. So simply put, we're trying to cast as many spells as we can that allow us to discard some of our more expensive spells and cast them for a cheaper cost to make our board super flooded with creatures and otherwise burn out our opponent to get to victory. Let's explain again how we're going to do this by first talking about the creatures in the deck. So starting with the 1-drops, we have Insolent Neonate and we have Blazing Rootwalla. Ideally, you want to cast the Rootwalla for its Madness cost, which is, as you can see, free. So if we can pull that off, this is actually a really solid card. However, even if you have to cast it on turn 1 for 1 mana, that's perfectly fine too. It's a solid card from the early game. Insolent Neonate is more utilitarian versus actually being aggressive. It only does 1 damage, but it does have Menace, which allows it to be a little evasive. Its ability allows us to provide a really sweet utility by forcing us to discard, which will trigger the Madness ability. We sacrifice the Neonate, and then we can draw a card to hopefully refuel into something much more effective. In the 2-drop slot, you have Rakdos Headliner. It has an Echo cost, which is discarding a card. Normally, that of course is a disadvantage, but because of how our deck works, we have a major advantage utilizing that ability. And our only other card, which is in the 4-drop slot before we talk about the finishers, is Kitchen Imp. Same thing with the other Madness costs. It's a 4-mana 2/2, which is not really a very good card, but for the Madness cost, it's an amazing card with flying and haste. But otherwise, in terms of the actual payoffs for the deck, we're going to take advantage of Sheoldred the Apocalypse. So even though this card doesn't really take advantage of anything Madness-wise, we're going to be doing a lot of card draw and filtering, so this will allow us to gain a bunch of life back to keep us stable versus some of the more aggro decks out there. And then our only other finisher is a single copy of Kroaxa, Titan of a Death's Hunger. This card, of course, will take advantage of the fact that as we keep throwing cards in the graveyard that we don't need, using our cards like Cathartic Pyre, utilizing our Faithless Looting, we can then fill up our graveyard very quickly, then allowing us to cast the Kroaxa to do a lot of damage and hopefully close out the game very, very quickly. Speaking of those discard cards, we have Cathartic Pyre, as I just mentioned, so this is a very flexible card which allows us to discard up to 2 cards and draw that many cards, or we can do some damage to our opponent's creature or planeswalker. One of the sweet things that was super cool about this set was we finally got Faithless Looting at a much cheaper cost. Remember when we all had to pay for a whole set of rare wildcards just to use Faithless Looting? I'm not salty about that. But the sweet thing at least about this card is now that of course it's a common, not only can we use it on a budget, but also it's super amazing in our deck because we can utilize it 2 times over thanks to its flashback ability. As far as only other ways of getting to closer to victory, we have, as I mentioned earlier, Fiery Temper. For its Madness cost, this is basically Lightning Bolt for us. And Alms of the Vein, which was introduced thanks to Shadows over Innistrad Remastered, basically allowing us to kind of lightning helix our opponent for 1 mana thanks to the Madness ability. And then otherwise, our only other catch-all to destroy anything is going to be Bone Shards. We're going to take advantage of the fact that it will cost us a discard in order to destroy a target creature or planeswalker for 1 mana, but as I mentioned earlier, that's again one of our major advantages. It throws away something that hopefully we can cast with Madness, we can destroy something and get a 2-for-1 out of the deal. Otherwise, in terms of your land base, we are a budget deck today, so we're going to take advantage of Bojuka Bog to exile things in the main deck. We'll have 6 swamps, 6 mountains, 4 Blood Crypts as our rares go to, and our Foreboding Ruins, thanks again to the same set as I just mentioned, because this is now an uncommon dual land for us, which is really, really sweet because we could take advantage of that. Now, as for your sideboard, we have a full set of Duress for the control decks out there. We have Soul Guide Lantern as our catch-all as always for Graveyard Hate. A Vow of Rebirth is going to be utilized just in case we need to bring stuff back from the graveyard. As I mentioned before, don't be surprised if, again, your cards do get destroyed a lot, so this will be very helpful in the best of 3 matches. Feed the Swarm to destroy mostly enchantments, but it's also great for creatures. Abrade also is awesome as always, destroys creatures, and is flexible to destroy an artifact. Roiling Vortex will shut off our opponent's life gain, and also it punishes a lot of those combo decks out there to try to cast things for free. And of course, our final card is going to be Phyrexian Arena. We want to make sure we still have enough cards that we can kind of draw and also discard when we absolutely have to. But otherwise, that's the whole deck for you in a nutshell. I honestly have no idea if this deck is actually any good currently in Historic, but we're still going to give it a try. We're going to have some fun with it, play a couple matches, and show you how this deck performs. But before we continue, if you do like any of the content that I do, please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you watch the content so you don't miss out on any of the gameplay, booster pack openings, deck decks, and so much more. Okay, my fiery friends, here we go. We are playing our Pure Madness deck, and let's go ahead, let's mulligan and see what we get. All right. Okay, I think we need to mulligan again. Okay. So this one, all right, well, we're just going to have to keep this. We'll just keep this and just work with it, everybody. Let's see if it goes anywhere. Put back a Fiery Temper. We will put back an Alms of the Vein. And, all right, I don't know if we're going to get there with this, but we're going to try. Okay, Soul Scar Mage, our opponent has. All right, so in that case, Swamp and Bone Shards. We will throw away Croaxa to get rid of that. We don't want it prowessing off. Okay, so our opponent is definitely going to be a prowess deck. Okay, nothing cast. That's fine. Mountain down. And we pass. We'll play with fire. It's us for 2. Base for I. Okay, opponent. Blood Crypt. Not too shabby. We will play that tapped. If our opponent is going to try to burn us out, we want to keep our life total as high as possible. If we can get down Shieldred, we might be okay. Piece it together. Okay. Mentor's Guidance. Wow, actually our opponent is stumbling here. That actually is in our favor. This helps us out quite a bit. Okay, so with that, we have a Mountain. We'll play Shieldred. Okay, opponent. Can you stop a Shieldred? Opponent draws a card. They get pinged for 2. Balmor. That's actually okay. We do have Fiery Tempers. The only awkward part is our Fiery Tempers aren't going to be cast for their Madness cost. So we're just going to have to do it this way. Opponent, Fading Hope. Okay. A little annoying, but that's fine. This is fine, everybody. Blood Crypt tapped. We go swinging. This is not exactly how I expected our deck to go, but we're still stabilizing. Opponent gets pinged. Do they replay? Fading Hope. That's fine. Balmor coming down. So they're tapped out, which is actually good for us. Okay, they shock themselves down to 10. So I'm guessing they probably have some kind of protection. We will Fiery Temper again. Do you have more removal, opponent, or more protection? Guess we'll find out. They lose their Balmor. All right, we will pass. I don't want to let our opponent know we only have a land left besides Shieldred, so we're going to hold on to it for smidge. Balmor number 2 coming down. Reckless Charge. They pump it. They go swinging. Wizard's Lightning. We get hit here pretty hard. Ouch. Okay. Blazing Root Walla. Again, can't really cast it for Madness, but we're going to play it anyway, because it is a good beater. We're still going to hold on to our last land. Opponent down to 8. Again, this is not exactly how I expected our deck to go, but, I mean, again, you can't complain in situations like this. You're just going to have to sometimes play it out this way. Static Discharge. Down to 8. Oh, does our opponent have lethal here? Oh, hold on. Does that count? Oh. Did we get there? This is not at all I was expecting, everybody. I can't believe we got there. We won. This wasn't exactly, again, how I wanted to do it, but I guess I'll take it. All right, my fiery friends, here we go. We are playing our Madness deck, a budget aggro deck, and let's see. We've got some early threats, so this is actually okay. It's a little low powered, but we're gonna hopefully try to draw into more of our action. Tap land. Okay, we got Cathartic Pyre. That's actually great for later. So for Boding Ruin, we will show off our Swamp. We will play Blazing Root Walla. Normally, I would like to just cast that for free, but we need the aggro if our opponent looks like they're going to be playing some kind of control deck. All right. We will play then the Swamp. We will go swinging here. Oh, I hate this deck. You guys haven't seen this. that Jin is going to start bouncing stuff, and they're going to start getting more copies of this thing. I really hate this play pattern. We're somehow going to try to find a way around this, everybody. We will play Insolent Neonate. And we'll pass. At least with the Neonate, we can sacrifice that to start doing some stuff. March of Otherworldly Light. Okay, so we will have to sack Neonate here. We will throw away Kitchen Imp. We then play it for its madness cost. Draw a card. Okay, we got Shieldred. That's great. And he puts down the land and shocks themselves. Okay. Blood Crypt. Here's how we do this. Go swinging. Pump up Rootwalla. Opponent has March of Otherworldly Light again. I mean, that's okay. If they want to waste them on Blazing Rootwallas, that's fine with me. They take some damage. We'll pass here. Glacial Fortress. Opponent's got 3 cards in hand. We will then play Cathartic Pyre, discarding Blazing Rootwalla, casting it for free, draw a card. Bone Shards might be nice if our opponent is going to play a creature. Opponent's got Snapcaster Mage. Wow, it's like we're playing Modern all of a sudden. This honestly feels like a Modern match right now with March of Otherworldly Lights, Snapcaster, and playing Modern Horizons 2 cards. I swear, they really are made historic like Modern Light, which is kind of neat. Well, what isn't neat is the fact that we keep losing our Rootwallas. But that's okay, everybody. Here's what we're going to do. So, we will play Blood Crypt. We will Bone Shards. We will discard Alms of the Vein. We will play it for its madness cost, pinging our opponent. We go up and back. We swing. They're down to 11. Still 3 cards in hand. We're down to 2. I really want to play Shieldred, but I don't know what our opponent also has in their hand, so we're going to have to wait for just a little bit more, at least until we get some more answers. Memory Deluge. Opponent digging for cards. Field of Ruin. So with that, they go swinging here. Down to 9. Alright, this is it, everybody. This is it. We're going to have to do this now. So tap land. Okay. They draw a card. They get pinged down to 7. Do they have a Wrath in any of those 4 cards that they have? 3 cards now. 2 cards, Teferi. So that probably means Teferi might tuck, or they might draw. They tuck. But at least that means they don't tap out. So this is actually solid for us. So with that, we have to take out Teferi here. We will then discard Alms of the Vein. Casting it for free. Well, actually not free, but you get what I mean. Paying for 1. That's actually not too shabby. And then we will... Ooh, actually, this is tempting right here. Do we do it? No, actually, we wait. It's so tempting right now to play Faithless Looting, and maybe one of those cards might be one of our burn spells, but we got to wait it out for a bit. They're down to 4, so they're not actually in lethal range yet. Okay, drawing a card. Okay, our opponent is looking at stuff here. I'm tempted to swing, but I feel like they might actually have also the Wandering Emperor. So no attacks. We will play Shieldred here. Most likely they might have a counter spell. There we go, Archmage's Charm. Annoying, that's fine. Opponent playing a Field of Ruin. They kill one of our lands, which is okay, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really hurt us that much. We have plenty of basics. Okay. Opponent's got a lot of mana and down to 2 cards. Oh, this actually might hurt us. Ooh, boy. Yikes. Well, we still need to find a way to swing in. Oh, and our opponent has March of Otherworldly Light. But our card here is actually a 4 mana card, so that's actually not bad. So, Kitchen Imp number 2 for full power. Our opponent here has to sack a lot of cards to make March of Otherworldly Light work. We go swinging. This is it. Did our opponent have an answer? Are they going to make March of Otherworldly Light work? Fragment Reality. Yikes. Rakdos Headliner. Down to 2. We can't play Faithless Looting, unfortunately, because of that stupid Narset. They dig for another card. Our opponent is finding ways to get answers. Tap. Do they use the March of Otherworldly Light here? No, they use Farewell. Oh, jeez. Okay. Well, Oh, okay, never mind. We got there. We burned our opponent out. Ah, yes, we did it. Such an unorthodox way to do it. But you saw we were able to pull off a win there, so I will take it. Okay, my fiery friends, here we go. We are playing our Pure Madness deck, Rakdos aggro, on a unique style of play. And all right, so we got some solid stuff for the early game. So let's go ahead and let's play this, and we're going to see if we can make it work. Okay, so Foreboding Ruin, showing off our mountain. We will play Faithless Looting, draw 2. We will throw away a Blazing Rootwalla, and we will throw away... Wait, what do we throw away here? I think we might want to throw away our mountain. Play the Blazing Rootwalla for free. Okay. Breeding Pool. Okay, so in that case, we will play another Foreboding Ruin, showing off our Swamp. We will play Headliner. Go swinging here. They're down to 16. Okay, is our opponent playing our ramp deck? I guess they're playing ramp, which is okay. That gives us time. We can just outrace our opponent here. We might be able to get there before they get to do anything. We throw away Alms of the Vein thanks to the Echo ability. Drawing a card. Swamp coming down. We will then swing here, turning on Blazing Rootwalla, making it stronger. They're down to 7. Wow, okay. Our deck's actually pulling stuff off here. This is great. If we can get a burn spell or two, we might be able to get their next turn. Gift of Paradise. Okay, so they go up some life here. That's annoying, but not the end of the world for us. Path to the World Tree. Okay, I don't know what our opponent is ramping into, but they don't have much time left. Even with things like Gift of Paradise, giving them some life, Mind Stone can help them draw a card. If we get into what we need, we might be able to pull this off here now. So with that, Swamp, Faithless Looting, draw 2. Ooh, Alms of the Vein. Okay, great. We will throw away that and Bone Shards. Casting Alms of the Vein. They're down to 7. Turn on Blazing Rootwalla again. Okay. Opponent, you're running out of time. Can you stabilize before we do, opponent? Yeah. Okay, our opponent has to play something huge here. They're tapping for mana. Pay of Wishes. Okay, they need to stabilize with life here or it's going to be over. Root Snare. Oh boy, Root Snare. Okay, so new game plan right now. We need to basically draw into some kind of burn spell here. So with that, we will Cathartic Pyre. Discard 2 cards. Throwing away our 2. Draw into something. Okay, Insolent Neonate here. So here's how we pull this off, everybody. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. So we swing. Our opponent will cast off Root Snare. Watch. We then sacrifice Insolent Neonate. We then throw away Alms of the Veins. Yes, this worked. This actually worked. Alms of the Veins for the win. Yes! We got there. We did it. We did it. We did it. Oh, yeah, that was awesome, everybody. Oh, I hope you all enjoyed that. Oh, that felt so good to do. And there you have it, everybody. So that was our Pure Madness deck for you. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? I actually was really happy with this deck. This deck actually is pretty sweet when it goes off. You saw that in some of our more interesting matches, we were able to just somehow stabilize or just kind of outmaneuver our opponent. Our opponent kind of had some ways, as you saw in some of our matches, of trying to get around some of our stuff, which was annoying, but we definitely had ways of kind of just getting around some of their strategies. And honestly, I think this is a pretty fun and solid budget deck if you want to try making a little bit more of a unique style of aggro deck out there for Historic. Although I will acknowledge real quick, very soon we're going to get some much more powerful cards being added to Historic, so I don't know how much more longer a deck like this can manage. But again, this is a solid budget deck, and if you are interested, for my true fiery friends out there, stick around for another minute or so, because I will show you what you can do to upgrade this deck. Now, for those of you who are interested in upgrades, here's again, as always, my upgrades I personally recommend, but be sure to always experiment to see what works for you. So we're going to get rid of Insolent Neonates now in the 1-drop slot. We're going to add an extra copy of Kroxa, Titans of Death's Hunger. We will trim then also 1 Rakdos Headliner, and then we'll be adding in instead a set of Hollow One. So Hollow One, as you can see, gets really cheap as long as we discard or cycle cards in the same turn. If you can discard or cycle 3 cards, then this basically comes in for free. But even if we just go with 1 Faithless Looting, this only will cost 1, so it's a solid card to add in as an upgrade. Your other options that I would recommend, of course, is, as always, upgrade your mana base. So, of course, the usual suspects, we always get Hive of the Eye Tyrant, Castle Lockwayne, Den of the Bugbear. We're obviously going to trim down the majority of our actual basics to add in some Blackleaf Cliffs. We'll add in the Pathway lands, of course, and 2 copies of Mutavault. If all else fails, a creature land, of course, helps us out, just like we mentioned with the other creature lands that are here. In your sideboard, of course, there's the usual upgrades as well. Thoughtseize, of course, replaces your Duresses. Keep, of course, your Abrades, keep your Fight the Swarms, trim away 1 Soul Guide Lantern, keep the Phyrexian Ring to keep your hand full. And your final option, of course, is Liliana the Veil. This helps us provide us a little bit more value, not only to discard our hand, but of course to discard our opponent's hand. But of course, we get the major advantage over that versus our opponent. At the end of the day, however, keep in mind Madness is not really going to be a super competitive style of gameplay, but it is a very fun one because most of the time your opponent is not really going to counterspell any of your discard. They don't mind that, so that actually provides us with more value on the back end. So keep that in mind when you play this deck. The, of course, only other weakness I do want to acknowledge is, as your opponent constantly keeps blowing up our creatures, much of the value kind of starts to get trimmed away. Still, my only other final thoughts I just want to say is this deck, of course, is a lot of fun, just like many of the other decks we do play out there, but Madness, of course, is just one of those mechanics that I honestly wish Wizards would try out a little bit more. But we did get at least now finally a full enough package, so as you see today, we were able to put together a pretty sweet deck, and also I think just enough cards aligned together, we were able to make a nice budget deck that any one of you can play. Keep in mind, of course, that Historic is gonna get a little bit more tougher as we go forward once we get to March of the Machine. But does this mean this deck is bad to play? No, I definitely would say if you want to have fun throwing away your cards just to get some extra value out of them, be sure to give this deck a try. And I assure you, you will, if not drive your opponent mad, you will definitely not be disappointed. That's all I have for you today. Thanks again for watching, everyone. And just remember that no matter what you do play in the game of life, always be sure to burn bright. Later.